I have to move. She's trying to snag me behind the stones.
An extreme adventure angler.
Wow! Man, that's a big fish!
On the hunt for a legendary predator, the goonch catfish.
Extremely hot, no water. If you want to catch a big fish, you need to suffer.
A fearsome flesh eater with shark-like teeth.
Teeth that would penetrate its prey very, very deeply.
And a fabled taste for humans, dead or alive.
All of a sudden, something came up and just pulled it under.
Yes, well, he's coming from the current. Yeah, it's goonch, guys, it's goonch.
Is this river killer now driven to prey on man and beast?
What a monster! Goonch giant devil catfish.
It's fisherman versus infamous man-eater. Hooked, monster fish, giant devil catfish.
Yes, goonch! Goonch! Woo!
For centuries, legends have described man-eating freshwater monsters. The ravenous piranha, the fierce Wels catfish, and recently, another supersized species more terrifying than them all, the goonch. Found in the world's most remote places, said to feed on the burnt bodies of funeral pyres. Now, reports of human attacks are making headlines. Some believe the stories are macabre myths. Others fear this flesh eater may be on the hunt for new prey.
The goonch is a hot topic with the media right now. Something that could eat you is scary. It fascinates the public. Fishes in particular, they're these scary monsters of the deep. You can't really see them coming at you. They often live in muddy waters. They're scary things.
World-renowned explorer, adventurer, and extreme angler Jakub Wagner is determined to find out what is myth and what is real. By catching his own monster goonch, meeting this mysterious alpha predator face to face. Northern India, near the border of Tibet and Nepal. Here, a river system of the Great Ganges may be under siege. In the last 2 decades, the Kali River has been the epicenter of 3 potential goonch attacks. Yet in recent months, goonch sightings on the Ramganga have grown. These waters may be the goonch's new human hunting ground.
There is the river Ramganga.
Beautiful.
Here, Jakub is thousands of kilometers from his native Czech Republic, embarking on a 7-day expedition, hunting the ultimate alleged man-eater.
I hope we can get a goonch over there.
Adventure fishing is Jakub's lifetime obsession. From Texas to Thailand, as a highly accomplished sportsman and intrepid traveler, the anglers battled the biggest and baddest monster fish on Earth, breaking multiple world records, tracking and identifying rare species in habitats far off the grid. Now, upping the ante, the master fisherman's driven by a single goal: finding a killer in its elusive lair. On a mission that may be the most dangerous showdown of his career.
I've caught huge catfish before, but goonch is different. This catfish has these huge, shark-like teeth, and it's rumored to actually eat humans. We are trying to find very rare fish, goonch, Bagaris yarrelli in Latin name. And the thing is, we don't know really nothing about this species. and we need to find this fish. So we have to travel different parts of the river. Do you know how to swim? Yeah, it's good, because you never know. Do you hear it?
Day 1 of 7, 8 a.m., the banks of the Ramganga River. Jakub knows, alone, his odds of catching a goonch are almost impossible.
Should be fine already.
Enlisting the help of a local fisherman and a rafting guide, Jakub prepares to head nearly 50 kilometers downriver, deeper into the Himalayan wilds. There, he plans to meet up with the region's most respected goonch guide, Vinay Badola.
I'm really excited. I don't know what to expect.
Yes, I think guys a little bit more.
The goonch is only one potential danger. The Ramganga is also home to deadly tigers, snakes, and crocodiles. And with crushing humidity, temperatures regularly surpass a scorching 100 degrees.
So, you know, it will protect your head from getting injured by the rock.
Okay, clear.
So this way.
Let's go. Okay.
It's the end of the dry season, and water levels are perilously low. The team pushes ahead to deeper currents and churning rapids. It's a dangerous course, but the one-week expedition has little time. To rendezvous with their goonch guide, the river's faster than the mountain roads. Now, as they head further from civilization, they move closer to the hunting ground of the goonch. A whopper dating back over 1 million years, the goonch catfish is very real. Native to Southeast Asia, some believe the biggest goonch may stretch nearly 2 meters, weighing over 110 kilograms. At any size, the goonch's jutting teeth and wide mouth turn it into an assassin. So fierce, it's nicknamed the devil catfish.
The goonch is a very adept predator. It has this suctorial motion that could suck in large prey, and then it has these big teeth to hold on to it. And there's probably not another catfish that could eat nearly as large a prey or have such strong suctorial pressures to suck prey in. I think it's certainly conceivable that the goonch might attack a human being.
(2 p.m. Bikisane. From raft back to hired jeep, Jakub arrives in time to meet fishing guide Vinay Badola.
Hi Vinay, nice to meet you. How are you?
Excellent.
Well, how is your fishing?
It's been all right. The water's been coming up, but it's been all right.
Okay. I haven't catch a goonch so far, so I hope you can help me.
Absolutely.
So let's see the river.
Let's do that. But before that, we need to take blessings. So let's do that first.
Okay.
A passionate angler and local wilderness expert, Vinay has over 30 years' experience fishing these waters. As a professional guide, Vinay's led many foreign anglers to the region's biggest fish. He's also one of the few people on Earth who studied the fabled goonch firsthand. The team heads first to the local ashram. A priest bestows blessings. Jakub hopes this holy place will bring him luck and entice the river to give up an adversary with a frightening reputation. There's no concrete proof of anyone dying by a goonch assault, But Vinay has heard locals describe devastating attacks.
I know of a boy which got taken by a fish in the Kali River. And I've spoken to the boy's mother. She is still in a state of shock.
The late 1980s. A local mother's young son splashes in the river shallows until something strikes from below. Pulled under, the boy disappears, never seen again. Vinay has also heard of livestock gone missing with no warning.
I spoke to a person who was eyewitness to his buffalo being grabbed by something and pulled underwater.
And there's another chilling local belief that goonch stalk the waters below funeral pyres. Open-air cremations are a sacred Hindu tradition. As wooden burial platforms burn, human remains fall or are pushed into the waters beneath.
Hindus burn their dead. When a person dies, the body is taken to a river. Even if a dead body is partially burnt, it is put into the river, and the funeral is over. Half-burnt bodies, obviously, they leave a scent trail.
The Kali and Ramganga rivers are common funeral pyre sites. Some experts think, as hungry river scavengers, the goonch flock here, vulture fish cruising for a macabre but easy meal, that this is how the goonch grow so large, and why the fish may now have a taste for live human meat.
Certainly, if any human body parts from these pyres found their way into the water, the goonch would be very adept at smelling those and quickly homing in on those as a food source.
One thing's certain, thanks to a trait called indeterminate growth, the longer goonch live, the bigger they grow. With virtually no natural predators, flesh-feeding alpha goonch can reach terrifying proportions, potentially large enough to hunt a human target. Some locals like Vinay believe the attacks may be perpetrated by just a few renegade goonch, or even a single lone predator with a grisly appetite.
Fish actually get used to consuming the dead bodies. Maybe there's one particular fish which has taken a liking to dead bodies. Maybe there was someone close to the dead body or something, and someone was vibrating in the right manner, and this one went for it. And from there on, it's developed a taste for human beings or anything in the shallows which moves.
Yet others residing near the river fear a far scarier scenario. The goonch's craving for human flesh is a recent development. As its natural habitat faces construction, pollution, and overfishing, the ancient species may be forced to find new food, including Homo sapiens, dead or alive. Adaptive feeding is a common phenomenon among successful predators.
The fishes will be pushed into peripheral habitats. Their food sources may be taken away. They're going to be shifting and maybe preying on other things.
And while in some habitats, aggressive commercial fishing and poaching threaten the goonch with extinction, it's humans who may be most in danger here. – 3 p.m. Vinay's intimate knowledge of the river leads the team to an ideal goonch hideout, a rocky underwater lair near recent goonch sighting ground zero.
Wow, this pool looks really great. Let's try it, yeah. We cast our bait into a very deep pool where goonch lives. We are getting closer to the place where big goonch sightings happen. I'm so excited to catch this fish, big enough to eat a human. But something is definitely tasting the fish.
Yes.
Very strange.
It's not current because otherwise it would move left or right, but not towards us.
Maybe eels, big eels.
Maybe.
Yeah, no.
Did you see it?
Towards us.
Already it's 3 or 4 times, you know?
Yeah.
Jakub feels a sudden tug, a bite. The powerful fish pulls hard against his line.
I'm reeling as fast as I can. I'm praying it's a big goonch, but the water is murky. I'm thinking it can be something else. But I'm so excited to see the giant devil catfish. I just want to get it in as fast as I can.
The fighting whopper is surprisingly strong. In muddy waters, Jakub has no way of knowing what's on the end of his line. Battling a fighting fish, identity unknown. Adventure angler Jakub Wagner pulls as hard as he can. The fish beneath darts frantically. At any moment, the angler fears his line might snap under pressure. He gives a strong tug and gets the fish to the surface.
Beautiful, Masya.
It's no goonch, but it is one of the most coveted freshwater fish on Earth.
Beautiful.
A golden mahshir.
I didn't expect to catch Masya. The bait was there for the goonch, and I'm using strong steel wire and 2 big single hooks. So I really didn't expect that, but it's a beautiful fish. I'm very happy about it. Well, if you hold the fish.
Now, with the fish on shore, Jakub reaches in to remove the hook.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the hook. Yeah, that's it. You see, such a strong steel wire, 2 big single hooks for goonch, and we caught golden mahshir. Very rare fish and quite a good size.
Before releasing the fish, the angler wants to examine his first ever mahshir conquest and the first catch of the Ramganga expedition.
Pure gold.
Marked by colorful fins, puckered mouths, and golden scales, golden mahshir are primarily found in these Himalayan waters. One of the world's largest carp, they're able to reach nearly 3 meters, weighing 68 kilos. Prized for their size, unique beauty, and power, for experienced anglers, mighty mahshir are some of the toughest freshwater contenders.
I feel so good catching the golden mahshir. This is my very first one. I heard stories how strong they are, and I always want to catch one. Now I have one from the great Ramganga. Vinay, can you tell me something about the mahshir?
Yeah, well, it's got a very limited distribution, and it's a very special fish because there's absolutely nothing else which looks like this and lives in the waters.
How much is it?
23 pounds.
That's a good fish.
A very nice fish.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Jakub guides the mahshir back to open water.
It's not a goonch, but I'm extremely happy that I can release this beautiful fish. Pure gold. Goodbye. See you next time.
It survived the catch, but the same mahshir may be destined for death by goonch.
The goonch is physically capable of eating large prey because it itself is large.
Catfish are notoriously greedy. Prawns and smaller fish are a common diet staple. Yet what could drive a goonch to crave mammal meat? Ocean predators like sharks are famous for bloody mammal kills. But what creates a flesh eater in a river?
In any ecosystem, there are predators evolved to eat meat simply because it's a high protein source. Everything needs to ingest protein. Typically, if you've got a high protein diet, you're going to grow bigger.
The goonch isn't the only freshwater stalker that may be hunting high protein mammal prey. One of the most infamous meat-eating river beasts is the piranha. Though a single piranha rarely grows longer than 45 centimeters, these razor-toothed hunters attack in marauding mobs. Deadly packs are known to strip the meat off big kills in minutes, leaving only bones behind.
The piranha is special for the flesh-eating habits, basically, and its ability to take chunks of meat out of its prey. It has these very specialized teeth, triangular-shaped teeth with sharp edges that are very good at cutting into things and taking chunks out of them.
Jakub is no stranger to flesh-eating piranha. In 2008, canoeing on the Amazon River, Jakub casts, reels, and gets a strike. An aggressive fish whips and flails across the surface. A piranha. Getting it in the boat, Jakub tries to show the camera his catch's dagger teeth. But the fish snaps, tearing into Jakub's hand. The cut's deep, proof of a piranha's power. It's a bloody tangle with a flesh-eater's instinct for self-defense. Yet when it comes to devil catfish, Jakub wonders, when goonch attack, are they defending or hunting? Back at the Ramganga, day 2, 8 a.m. After searching for 2 days, Jakub is determined to snare a goonch. Changing tactics, the angler scans the water for the perfect spot to drop his rock-weighted bait by hand, an underwater nook where goonch like to hunt.
Okay, let's go. I just need to organize myself, stone, bait, and swim.
Paddling across, Jakub battles strong currents. Aware at all times he's in the unusual habitat of a fabled man-eater, wading in the same waters that swirl around funeral pyres and their human remains.
What do you think? Very strong current.
Now, trying to time his drop with the water flow, Jakub must keep his bait from falling too deep between underwater boulders. But just as Jakub releases the bait, he spots a problem: old abandoned fishing lines. Tied to bottles for ballast, the lines have been left behind by local fishermen. Now, they pose a danger. If they tangle with Jakub's active fishing line, they could cost him a goonch catch.
Thank you.
To clear them, Jakub heads back into the rushing current. He grabs the first of several bottle lines. Then, something goes wrong. As Jakub fights to stay upright, the river sweeps him downstream. Extreme angler Jakub Wagner's fighting dangerous currents, trying to reach old abandoned fishing lines before they tangle with his own. Marshalling his strength, Jakub muscles his way back towards his targets. Reaching under, he grabs the remaining lines and yanks them as hard as he can. Success. He swims back to the bank.
It's very interesting to swim in the same river where they burn their bodies when they die. So I'm swimming in the river where thousands and thousands of people are burned every year.
Jakub resists fatigue, knowing a flesh-eating goonch may be lurking below. He hopes his weighted bait has landed near a river lair where goonch hunt, kill, and feed.
I can tell you the current is quite strong. I hope we can catch this fish.
Deep in goonch territory, Jakub may only truly be safe on dry land. After one alleged local attack, some believe even wading in these waters can be dangerous. 1988, the Kali River on the India-Nepal border. A 17-year-old boy wades into the water to cool off. The boy's girlfriend is nearby, with no idea what's stalking him below. But no one sees what happens next. Something suddenly grabs him, sucking him under, dragging him into the deep. A 3-day river search covers nearly a 5-kilometer stretch and turns up no remains. Many believe the young man was swallowed whole. Was the mysterious killer a giant goonch? The incident only fans the flames of the river beast's grisly reputation. Continuing his quest for the legendary man-eater, Jakub battles the dry season's blazing midday heat.
Whoa! This happens with all these stones around. Extreme heat, getting into the water. This is extreme fishing.
He heads even deeper down the Ramganga River. "6 p.m., early evening. A deep water bend in the river. Reaching a bluff overlooking a potential devil catfish lair, Jakub sets up camp. He wants to test a theory that goonch, like many catfish, are active night hunters.
One last cast before the dark. Actually, we don't know if goonch eat in the day or only in the night, so we have to try it.
Several hours later, as everyone sleeps, a bite. But in the pitch black, Jakub can't get out of his tent in time. The next morning, it's a disappointing blow.
We had around 1:30. It was like bzzz, 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 definitely goonch. But what happened? We couldn't find a way from the tent. We didn't find a zip in time, so we lost the fish.
Day 3 of 7. 8 a.m. Jakub presses on. The night's mist catch suggests the expedition is zeroing in on prime goonch territory. The fishermen push onwards.
That could be a very good place over there.
10 a.m. Downriver, drawing even closer to the recent goonch sightings.
If you're fishing for them in the daytime, then you have to know where the fish lie, the exact spots.
Experienced guide Vinay Badola believes the teams found a goonch hotspot, a perfect storm of favorable conditions, fast-moving water, deep rocky pools, and an abundant food supply. Targets for hungry goonch. Jakub's now on high alert.
These strong currents are making eddies, and these eddies are creating caves and ledges, and that's the place where I hope we can find a big goonch.
I can feel the goonch over there.
He must conserve his strength in the heat, so he waits near his baited line.
Hello, tech guys.
A powerful strike.
Nice, good fish. Good fish. Strong fish, guys. It's very strong fish.
Now it's a race against time.
We get the drag later. Yeah, a little bit more.
Jakub fears if the fish is a goonch, its razor teeth could snap his line in two, or hopelessly mangle the metal leader.
More to the left. Just bring the fish to him.
As Vinay coaches, Jakub struggles to stay hooked.
It's very strong fish.
It's heading to the rock.
Okay.
But as the monster fights, trying to shake the hook, Jakub risks another line-cutting danger.
I have to be very careful with all these rocks in the water.
Keep the pressure on it. Keep the pressure on.
It's a very strong fish.
Under the water, the fish dives straight for the river's deepest cracks.
He's trying to get under the rock over there.
It's a trademark move of a heavyweight catfish.
Don't let it sit down. Just keep it swimming. Don't let it sit down.
I'm trying.
If the whopper finds a den to hide in, it could stress the line to its breaking point. Refusing to quit, with a strong heave, Jakub wrestles the beast to the surface.
Goonch! Goonch! Yes! 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 Woo!
It's a goonch. Jakub has no time to stop, but it's astonishing to see the mysterious monster fish in the flesh.
Goonch, finally I caught one! Yes! Woo!
The goonch is so unwieldy, Jakub's convinced to land it, he's gotta wrangle it by hand.
Let's go to the water.
Jakub, careful, careful.
Yeah.
It gets deep very quickly.
Don't make a mistake now. He's so heavy, he's like stone. I tried to grab his tail.
At last, with a final grab,
Yes!
he's got the flesh eater in his arms.
What a beautiful fish!
Wow.
Look at this!
Awesome.
What a fish, what a creature! What a monster! Oh, goonch, giant devil catfish.
The goonch's wide, flattened body is built like a battering ram. Thick muscle covers a bony skeleton wrapped in a tough keratin skin, similar to human fingernails.
And look at these tiny small eyes and these whiskers, you know, and it's very interesting that goonch has bone in these whiskers. I don't know any other catfish which has bones inside the whiskers and the huge mouth full of big teeth. This is something, you know, prehistoric.
And like a shark, the goonch's triangle-shaped teeth are designed to stab and shred flesh.
Look at the head. It's like stone. That's why he's so heavy. You know, look. Like stone. I would really love to stick my hand into his stomach, you know, to search what he eats. And but I will not make it because he would definitely bite me. I can imagine he's sitting on the bottom, you know, without single movement.
Exactly.
You know, and then a small fish is swimming around, or even big fish.
Even big fish. Exactly.
Let's unhook the fish. We have to be very careful.
Jakub estimates the goonch is over 1 meter and 20 long, weighing roughly 36 kilos.
What do you think? This fish is probably around 1 meter 50. The real monsters, they can grow, what do you think, about 3 meters?
3 meters should be a good
Okay,
possibility.
and such a big monster, I can understand now that such a big fish could be able to attack even adult person.
Yeah, quite comfortably. Because a 3 meter fish would have a head which is about this broad. And if it's this broad, that's broader than my shoulders, I'm sure it could have a go at human beings.
This fish is certainly not big enough to eat humans, but
You know, this species can grow up to 150, maybe even 200 kilos. And such a fish would be able to attack human, maybe even eat human.
In potential human attack terms, a large catfish can bite and swallow more than 10% of its body weight. Based on this goonch's size, it could consume part of a human leg or arm. Jakub knows it's dangerous for goonch to be too long out of water. With a last look, he releases the beast.
And I need to continue with my fishing to find even bigger one.
I'll let you go now.
Jakub's convinced a massive man-eater's still out there. Local attack stories describe a much larger specimen. A monster-sized flesh-eating fish. A devil catfish, big enough to devour far more than a human arm. Jakub refuses to rest until he meets a giant goonch face to face. Day 4 of 7. After landing a 1.20 meter and 36 kilo goonch, Jakub Wagner and his team have only 3 days left to catch a fabled devil catfish big enough to devour a human. They push closer to the epicenter of prior goonch sightings.
We are crossing small river. Do we have a goonch here as well?
Maybe baby goonch.
Yeah. I hope they will not attack our jeep.
Heading deeper off the grid, the land eventually becomes too rugged for the jeep. To continue on, Jakub and his guide Vinay need specialized transportation.
We are trying to get on the very secret spot where should be a monster goonch. But only elephant can take us there. This is absolutely amazing place, Vinay.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Vinay's secret spot is deep in wild tiger country. So dangerous, even experienced guides won't cross the terrain on foot. In India, tiger attacks are a constant threat. Moving further into isolated wilderness, today the goonch thrives in such remote locations. But many fear as civilization pushes closer, the hungry hunters are adopting a new diet of livestock and human remains, even targeting live human prey, behaving exactly like another fabled man-eating catfish, the Wels.
The Wels catfish is clearly special because of its size. It's one of the biggest freshwater fishes in the world, and simply put, it's huge.
The only flesh-eating monster fish comparable to a goonch. Meet Europe's largest whopper catfish. Wels can grow nearly 5 meters, weighing almost 300 kilos. Their gaping mouths sport rows of sandpaper teeth, and these beasts have a definite taste for meat. Wels frequently eat frogs, rats, and birds. The aggressive predators have also reportedly attacked humans in European waterways far closer to civilization than the goonch's remote Indian hunting grounds.
Habitats are becoming fragmented, but at the same time, people are becoming more and more common, and you get this interaction. People are going to be coming into contact with these large fishes more and more.
June 4th, 2008. Berlin. A local lake's cool waters draw bathers escaping from the summer heat. A young woman swims with a friend until she feels something latch onto her leg. Splashing away, she manages to escape. At the hospital, doctors treat a crescent-shaped bite on her left calf, the signature chomp of a Wels catfish. Others in the area report similar wounds. The attacks make headlines. Officials believe a few aggressive Wels catfish are just defending their mating turf. But many wonder, like the alleged victims of the goonch, could this fierce river predator be test biting humans as potential prey? To Jakub, the aggressive Wels is also a familiar rival.
Catching a big goonch is not my first big catfish. In fact, I caught the biggest Wels catfish in the world. Bigger than me, big enough to swallow a human. And I can tell you, these fish can put up monster fights.
Early in his quest for the world's biggest monster fish, a young Jakub cut his teeth wrangling a man-sized Wels. Then, in April 2007, he hooked an even bigger Wels whopper, a record-breaking catch measuring over 2.40 meters long, weighing 109 kilos. For Jakub, the unforgettable encounter made a powerful impression, fueling his ambition to conquer the world's other mythical man-eating catfish. Now, in search of a whopper goonch said to have a taste for blood,
What a fake jungle, be careful.
Jakub and Vinay watch for predators on land, making their way to the river location.
If you are on the back of elephant like this, is it safe?
Safer than walking around on foot. But our elephant is a bit nervous about the wild elephants and tigers, which is why she's a little jittery at the moment.
So do you think they are around?
Yes, of course.
Vinay, do you see the tiger prints over there? They are huge.
Yes, it's quite a big one too.
And they are quite fresh.
Yes. Let's take another route.
Okay, let's go somewhere else.
Day 5 of 7. Time is running out. With only 2 days remaining on the expedition, the team arrives at Vinay's chosen spot. Surrounded by expansive wilderness, they're miles from civilization and any emergency help. Jakub's skill and determination face the ultimate test.
Now let's go for goonch.
Then, a strike.
It's a big fish. You can really feel the power.
This time I'm thinking the fish is fighting just like a goonch. The first thing what goonch does, surge down to the bottom of the river. And it's so heavy, like concrete. As I try to pull, it feels like my arms will come out of their sockets.
Whatever he's hooked, the beast below nearly rips the rod out of Jakub's hands.
She's trying to snake me.
Don't let it sit down, don't let it sit down. Oh man, it's a big one.
It's a big fish. Woohoo! It's a big fish. Oh.
Deep in the Indian jungle, angler Jakub Wagner struggles against a powerful force in the water.
Woohoo! It's a big fish. Oh.
he grips the fishing rod as tight as he can. But the beast fights back. The whopper makes a run, trying to hide in a hole below, pulling the line dangerously taut. The fish darts through a minefield of jagged rocks.
I have to move. She's trying to snag me behind the stone.
In this tug of war, Jakub is reeling hard, terrified he'll lose his grip.
She's trying to snag me.
Local veteran Vinay is convinced the only strategy is to tire the fish out.
Careful now, keep the pressure on it. Don't let it sit down if you can.
Yeah.
Don't let it sit down.
Wow!
Oh
Man,
man,
that's
that's
a
a
big
good one.
fish.
Good fish, good fish.
60 kilos.
But one slip on the river's jagged rocks could cost Jakub the catch.
Look!
Oh man.
Oh, it's a big one, man.
The more he fights it, the more Jakub is convinced he has a monster goonch on the line, big enough to attack and consume human prey.
I can tell you there's a fish when we run.
But the fish is just as determined.
I don't know where is he.
It dives down, seeking refuge in the lowest crag it can find.
Jacob, see if you can bring it down there.
Yeah, I can try.
We'll have to move down.
I don't want to be caught somewhere in these mud rocks.
Very deep, very deep.
Yeah!
Then, a big bony barbel breaks the surface.
Wow! That's goonch!
Attached, the gaping mouth of a giant.
It's a big goonch! Yes!
Jakub's hunch was right. He's up against a mammoth specimen.
Wow! That's a big goonch! Whoa! That's a monster!
The angler has no time to hesitate.
Yes! Whoa! Ah!
He's got the Goliath fish in reach.
Yes, my friend, yes.
Woo! Woo! Yes!
Wow, oh wow.
That's the fish, that's the monster.
Jakub and his crew want to get the goonch on a weighing mat fast.
Lift the tail a bit and move.
It takes 3 to manhandle this huge devil catfish into shallow waters.
I still can't believe it.
The fish stretches a staggering 1 meter 88,
1, 2, 3.
tipping the scale at over 74 kilos, a world record.
Yes, man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What a beast. Beautiful fish. Thank you, guys.
Now, Jakub needs to get the fish back into the water for a safe release. But there's one measurement left. Examining the goonch's jaws up close.
Look at this huge mouth and these fantastic teeth. They are like sharks. I would be nearly able to stick my... Oh no, nearly. I am in the mouth of goonch. Look, I can easily imagine that this fish would be able to grab my leg and pull me in. So yeah, this beast would be able to kill human beings.
Up close with the legendary predator, Jakub concludes this killer catfish has the strength, the weaponry, and the size to be a lethal danger in the water.
Do you have it like this?
Though there's no way to know whether this or any other single specimen can or has taken a human victim, the goonch is astonishing.
Yes! Yes! Guys, thank you very much, because I can tell you, this is the trip. Absolutely. This is the fish of our lifetime. For sure. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Okay, let's release this beauty.
Thank you so much, sweetness.
This is the king of the river.
Stuff of dreams.
King of the river, Ramganga.
Jakub, Vinay, and the team set their record-setting catch free, safe to grow and hunt another day.
Woo! I am absolutely over the moon. It was a very difficult expedition, but I finally got my goonch.
you better get ready to grab this tail. Get over here, get over here.
The fearless, fighting, catfish-grabbing Okie Noodlers are back. Daring an extreme expedition overseas. Wrestling one of the biggest freshwater fish on the planet.
I think he's trying to tell me I'm crazy.
A monster Wels catfish.
Look again.
Plus, taking on the ocean's legendary predators. Tagging nurse sharks and lemon sharks barehanded.
Is he fighting? Hit him, hit him.
And battling a real-life Moby Dick with handmade weapons. It's primal, intense, and death-defying. And it doesn't take a rod and reel. Get ready for more pulse-racing face-offs of extreme fisherman versus beast on Hooked Extreme Noodling.
Yeah!
The world's mightiest whoppers. To some adventure anglers, the only way to catch them is to get up close and personal, taking them on by hand. Some call them fanatics, others call them insane. But they're determined to battle some of the most powerful creatures of the deep.
Where is it?
Risking life and limb.
Easy, easy, easy.
Catfish noodling. A primal showdown of man versus beast. A dangerous ancient art. Some obsessed fishermen body wrestle some of the biggest river fish on Earth, using only their limbs as a lure. It's no pain, no gain.
Noodling actually combines the art of hunting and fishing all rolled into one. It's you one-on-one against Mother Nature.
That's a nice one.
And now, for the first time ever, one of Noodling's living legends is heading all the way to Spain to match his master skills against a notorious river monster with its own legendary reputation, the Wels Catfish.
I've been reading about the Wels Catfish for years in magazines and stuff, and always said, you know, depending on what's in the water, whether or not it'd be safe enough to get in a noodle. Finally, I said, I'm hooked. Let's go. I'm up. I'm game.
Over decades of barehanded fishing, cigar-toting Oklahoma native Lee McFarland has wrangled some huge catfish called flatheads, slimy specimens rarely exceeding 22 kilograms. But now, he's determined to score the ultimate whopper.
How's that one?
A 100-pounder, nobody's ever done that we know of. I want one.
His chosen monster opponent, a continent's biggest river beast, the European Wels Catfish, reportedly able to reach 3 times the weight of an average noodler, so fierce and fabled, it's known to attack humans. Yet Lee McFarland is undeterred.
If I die doing it, I'm doing something I've loved. I don't want to look back on life and say, what if? You know, I want to know I've done everything I could.
But for Lee to meet a Wels face-to-face, he's got to go overseas for the first time in his life. In just a few weeks, Lee's embarking on an expedition deep into Wels spawning country. Even for an experienced noodler, it's a dangerous mission, taking on a massive biting predator. For the trip, Lee's assembled a dream team of fellow catfish wrestlers, including his best friend and cousin, Mark.
Huh? You want me worth it? He came up to me and asked me about Spain. I thought, do what? You serious? No, if he was interested, I was interested.
Me and him's tag team together. We've been doing it since we was 13 years old. We know what each other's thinking. We know what each other's move is before we do it.
And for the battle against the Wels, Lee's recruited a secret weapon. At 2 meters tall, weighing in at 127 kilograms, Big Josh Garcia brings serious muscle.
He calls me Big Indian because big and I'm Indian, and so I can block the deeper holes that other people can't. Over there, those suckers are monsters. I know I'm gonna grab that fish and hug him, bear hug him as tight as I can and make sure he don't go nowhere, hurt anybody.
I don't know, from what I heard, they'll grab you. Might not have no choice in the matter. I just hope they don't spin a lot. That's the worst case scenario. Get a 200-pound fish spinning, you might not be able to stop him. He might take the whole arm with him.
And beyond spinning, the noodlers may face bigger dangers, taking on a fabled man-eater. The Wels' notorious reputation makes headlines. River bathers describe a hulking fish with a gaping mouth, biting at their legs and feet. Attacking Wels have left gashes, bruises, and abrasions, sending victims to the hospital. Few river fish inspire such fear. Wels have even been accused of swallowing children whole.
There are stories of it picking up people out of the water, grabbing children and adolescents out of the water after having gotten this taste for human flesh. Whether or not that's true or not, who knows?
Like a flathead catfish on steroids, Wels can stretch up to 3 meters and have been purported to weigh a staggering 303 kilograms. These lumbering bottom dwellers have a powerful tail fin that propels them through the water like darting battleships. 2 long rows of teeth line a cavernous and ravenous mouth. Yet many wonder why such a successful predator would harass humans. A terrifying theory may turn noodling a Wels into a suicide mission. Experts believe there's only one motive behind a Wels attack. The fish are defending their eggs, and a noodler's entire strategy is to reach into the nest.
So the male's sitting in the hole, guarding his eggs, and suddenly something comes in to the hole. Well, if you're a male guarding your eggs and something comes near them, then you move it out of the way. One thing to remember is nobody has ever pulled a person out of a catfish and recorded it. But this may be the first time.
With friends, family, and his noodling mentor father, Lee examines his Wels adversary up close.
Oh yeah, 205 pounds. Woo! Nice. Look at that. Hell, they're exactly like ours.
Except that bottom fin.
That bottom fin. He's got the same back fin, the same side fins. Whiskers are on top. Bottom lip sticks out.
That back fin, though, when it comes out of the belly, goes all the way to the tail like an eel.
Oh, I see.
So he's 10 times more powerful in the thrust.
I worry about it because he's the type, he don't know when to let go. I'm afraid he'd allow me to take her.
The weekend of the trip arrives. The team is confident they're ready for the toughest noodling challenge ever.
Would you go wrestle one?
Determined to take on a true river behemoth, driven by the quest of a noodling world record.
I mean, I'm gonna feel like I just won the Olympic gold. You know, the biggest fish and somebody doing something nobody else has done. I've set a trend. I've set a record. I'll see you when I get back.
Well, good luck.
We're gonna need it.
Yeah, what you want on your tombstone?
See you in Spain. Look out for us. Why not be a frontier? Call me Lewis and Clark. I'll be Lewis, he'll be Clark. And Josh will be Sacagawea. Spain, here we come.
Look out.
Look out, Wels.
The Okie noodlers are on their way to Spain with dreams of unfamiliar rivers and gargantuan catfish. Thousands of miles from their home turf in Oklahoma, the world's most experienced noodling team is ready to risk life and limb against one of the most formidable river beasts on Earth. Their mission? Score a record Wels catfish caught bare-handed.
He's
get over that.
It looks like a catfish right here instead of a dragon. Then it's got the eel-like tail.
It's a Wels Catfish.
Yeah, there you go.
Teeth on that thing. You don't see that every day. Not in Oklahoma.
Try practicing noodling that. See what happens.
He got a little more teeth and bigger teeth than catfish.
Spain's Ebro River, 250 kilometers outside Barcelona. Accustomed to noodling waters they know by sight and feel, Lee McFarland and his fellow noodlers face unknown terrain.
Nearly run out of petrol driving up here.
To find their ultimate target, the team needs help uncovering the Wels Catfish's favorite hideouts.
We're going to have a little look now at some of the areas that we're going to go to by boat.
Experienced fishing guide Stephen Buss takes the men out for reconnaissance.
Some of the natural areas for where they spawn, so and they'll be around that area pretty much all of the year.
When we're doing it, when we're getting wet.
I suppose once you've tried it, you know, you get your experience, that's where you get your bravery from, but I don't know, it's mad. I mean, I just can't wait to see it, really.
The team arrives at a known Wels spawning spot.
Yeah, shame.
It's time for their first ever noodling challenge on foreign soil.
Think there's any catfish in this water?
We're gonna find out.
Immediately, Lee's veteran instincts kick in.
That's what I was looking at. That right there is like, that's what we noodle in Oklahoma, that stuff right there.
You know, you can noodle to your heart's content along this little bit of margin as well.
For this sport, Spain's spawning season offers a noodler's perfect storm. Rocky terrain, biting fish, and deep hidden lairs. From spring to summer, beneath these muddy waters, adult catfish fiercely defend new clutches of fertilized eggs, battling and chomping down on anything that comes near them. The noodler's mission? Find a nest big enough to hold a giant Wels catfish. Reach in and get bitten. Against Europe's largest catfish, the men know risks are high and precautions are vital.
I want one to tie from me to these guys, and then I'm wanting one to use for the fish. And this way, if the fish gets a hold of me, at least these two guys can pull me back.
I was more worried about your safety, so these were going to be for tying around your ankles. Just in case you bump into like a 150 or a 170 or you know, or could be bigger, you know.
Right there on that side. Kind of mushy. Is it mushy in there? I'm looking for these tubes coming out of this.
For the first time in this extreme American sport, a hunt for a European monster is on.
Let's try that pump down there. This mush, hell, you sink in at 6 inches. There any rocks up that way? Yeah, but not big enough.
You know, it's almost like a joke sport to us. We sort of can't believe that anglers would go underwater and sort of secure their catch with their bare hands.
Look in them tubes there, and they're just solid mud, but too mushy. I'm thinking about going over, he said the main channel's over there. I was wondering about that peninsula over there with all them big rocks over it. You said there's a ledge on this side?
Yeah, just on
a rock ledge?
Parallel with the island.
On foot and in boats, the unfamiliar terrain requires constant surveillance. The men wade through the water, scour the landscape, and travel the length of the river in search of spawning wels.
That right there is what we're looking for, something like that. Out in the water. Take 3 of you to block that.
If we can find that right out here, we'll be in the ballpark then.
Smaller catfish find lairs more easily than mammoth wels. In search of these river whoppers, the team looks for the mother of all hiding holes.
I don't know. We just gotta keep looking. How many miles of river have you checked?
Frustrated after hours searching with no luck, the team gives up, but only for now.
We just gotta go look somewhere else.
Back on dry land, the noodlers head to the next location, hoping locals can offer catch and life-saving advice.
They don't bite too bad. Language barrier, I'm lost. I'm just like, what? What's that mean?
Sí.
Por favor.
¿Qué tal? Mucho gusto. Mucho gusto.
Mucho gusto. You want to go catch one? That's why I need an interpreter, because I don't understand it.
¿Pescar siluros con la mano? No.
Why?
No. ¿Por qué no? Porque es de locos esto, hombre.
If I had a little more time, I'd love to learn the language, you know, so I can at least know whether they're cussing me out or telling me I was nuts.
No hay nadie que pesque siluros con la mano. Es de locos esto.
I think he's trying to tell me I'm crazy. He thinks we done lost our mind, huh? The loco?
Beneath a bridge several kilometers downriver, the men spot a promising rock formation.
See, that looks good. If they're hollow, that'd work real good, those tubes.
They zero in for a closer look.
I can feel the groove right there. Okay, go around and see if there's one over there, because this is like a tunnel going through here.
We found a nice little ledge, a big sort of plate of concrete maybe, with a good sort of cavity underneath.
God, that feels like it ought to hold one. Am I hitting you? Not yet.
I'm sure if there's any fish down there, then these guys are going to bump into them.
I did catch me a Spaniard crosshair.
Thousands of kilometers from home, the hand fishermen bring with them over half a century of combined expertise.
Oh, fish. No, rock or something. It's a rock.
But is the elusive Wels catfish too great an adversary, even for a noodling dream team?
I came this far to catch great big fish. I'm not giving up yet. We got to do something. Keep looking. Getting disgusted, but I'm got to keep going.
Back across the Atlantic, it's an extreme bare-handed fishing challenge to help save a species. A group of young scientists dare to grab, wrestle, and tag two of the world's most dangerous ocean predators by hand. Bimini Island, Bahamas. Over 80 kilometers off the east coast of Florida, this tiny, isolated atoll is one of the world's most fertile breeding grounds for sharks. For nearly 2 decades, Dr. Samuel Gruber has run Bimini's famous Shark Lab. Shark Lab attracts a courageous young staff ready to risk their lives to help keep threatened predators hunting the deep.
4 people in each room.
The Bimini Biological Field Station is built around the volunteers and the staff who are young scientific shark fanatics.
Two formidable apex predators who call the waters of Shark Lab home: the nurse shark and the lemon shark.
I had about a lemon shark as big as, I'd say, about a 7-footer take my hand in its mouth and decide whether he wanted to do anything with it. So I typically say I let my graduate students get bitten and I just sort of step back and watch it.
Record-setting lemons have stretched nearly 4 meters, weighing over 180 kilograms. Though they can survive in captivity, where other alpha shark species like the great white die, lemons are far from tame. Armed with a mouthful of triangular, cutting teeth, even a juvenile can inflict nasty wounds.
We'll stand here and let the sharks come up to us. And then what I'll do is once I get them excited, I'll do this and the shark will follow that. I'll let him have it and then grab him. So we don't have to do much to get them to us. The bait does that. This guy is going to come get it right here.
Handling these toothy specimens requires careful practice and training.
Here we go. Whoa.
Doc Gruber keeps a stable of young sharks in a pen to teach his scientific protégés the do's and deadly don'ts of shark grabbing.
Okay, yep, I got one. This is a little baby lemon shark. This is a male. You can tell by these little extensions by his fin, and this little guy is not happy. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put him to sleep right now. I'm gonna put him to sleep. All right, come on, guy. All right, now to put him to sleep, I simply turn him over. It takes a couple of seconds, and he goes to sleep. Okay, there, that's cool, he's asleep. 2 fingers.
Today, Shark Lab plans to tackle their most dangerous but critical species-saving missions. Tagging 2 separate predators with radio tracking devices. Data on shark populations and migration patterns help scientists protect these apex predators in an ecosystem under siege. One mission requires a free dive in shark-infested waters. The other, a one-on-one wrestling match of man versus monster predator.
Okay, gang, what we have to do now today, we've got to get at least 1 lemon shark. We need to put a transmitter on it. We don't want to get anybody bitten, and it's got to be scientist 2, shark 0.
The team heads into the bay in search of a full-grown natural assassin. It's a lemon shark chase down. The method is bold and dangerous. To insert a radio tracking tag, the team plans to taunt and corral a lemon shark, ultimately grabbing it with their bare hands.
You guys haven't seen anything yet, huh?
But don't try this at home.
You got him over there, he's on the port. To your port, to your port.
Suddenly, something large and gray passes underneath.
Oh, he's coming towards us, on the left, on the left.
It's a huge lemon shark.
Straight off the bow!
We'll chase it until it basically gets sick of being chased, and it turns around and will bite us.
Most fishermen would leave the dangerous beast alone. But for the Shark Lab team, they've got their target in sight. The chase has just begun.
Keep your eye on them. Just in front there.
They want to exhaust it so they can get within striking distance. Incredibly, their goal is to agitate the shark and become its target.
Sean's on the bow of the boat, you know, completely unbalanced, and if we ever hit the bottom or anything, he goes flying off right onto the shark's back. What he's trying to do is not net the shark, but actually hit it, so it turns around and bites the net.
On it, he's on it, he's on it, he's on it.
Where is it? Behind me.
He's right here, he's right here.
Okay. Right, get it, yep. No, don't
still on him?
No.
He's right here.
Where is he?
He's on that side.
The first attempt is lost. The team keeps up the chase.
Okay. Tell me if I should jump. Say jump and I'll get out. You better watch this. He might bite me. Come on, hit him hard.
Then, success.
Keep hitting him. Is he biting?
He's on it, he's on it, he's on it.
The shark bites down hard. Doc Gruber approaches the thrashing fish. The maneuver's extremely risky. He's wrangling an alpha predator face to face. Up close, the team uses the net poles to corral the nearly 2-meter-long shark.
In front of his head.
And Doc quickly grabs the tail.
That's it.
When a shark is tired,
Oh, it's too close.
its behavior is dangerously unpredictable.
If you don't watch yourself, you can get killed. These things could grab you in the thigh and you'd bleed to death in 30 seconds. So we can see the shark.
Doc Gruber's got to move fast.
They're fine when you leave them alone. If you mess with them, they hold a grudge. They will sit there very quietly, and while you're not looking, boom, They'll jump right up there and they'll bite you.
He quickly works to put the shark into a catatonic state called tonic immobility, which some believe exploits a shark's defensive reflex to play dead. This allows scientists to measure, tag, and even perform life-saving surgery.
The other paddle. Get the other paddle.
Doc Gruber wants to insert a radio tracking tag, but the shark needs time to recover and rest. A buoyancy balloon keeps her afloat while the team waits to insert the tag.
My concern about this shark is that we gotta let him go on this rope and swim around so he gets his breath back. What we do with these sharks may look heartless and mean, but really, you have to annoy a few of these sharks to maybe save all of them. Everybody let everything go. We set him on.
But after monitoring the shark for several minutes, Doc Gruber makes a critical decision to forego tagging. The summer heat has weakened the shark too much to continue.
The water is very hot now, and these sharks are overheated and they're stressed.
While the team helps the shark recover, they use the time to quickly gather valuable data.
Basically, we'll go down to them, we'll cut a little piece of fin off for DNA, and we'll take a measurement. We'll keep a crew here hanging around till they swim off. This one's already tried to swim off.
The divers swim with the exhausted animal to help move water through its gills.
When he tries to turn to shore, try to keep him going straight offshore. Sean, let him swim on his own.
Though the team's tagging mission has taken an unexpected turn, they've gathered priceless conservation data. And for the Shark Lab, the day's work isn't over yet. Shark Lab team members Sean and Jim have another task. Find a nurse shark and bring it to the surface, bare-handed.
Nurse sharks, pound for pound, they're probably one of the strongest sharks out there. So bear hugging a 9-foot nurse shark might not be the smartest idea, but some of the smaller ones I could get away with it.
Old as dinosaurs, nurse sharks are true prehistoric predators, able to grow just over 4 meters long, weighing more than 130 kilograms. 2 dangling feelers called nasal barbels enable these notorious hunters to stalk their prey before slurping it down. The nurse shark's giant throat cavity sucks in victims like a vacuum, raking meals across hundreds of flesh-shredding, serrated teeth. Sean and Jim are anchored off a large coral reef, a popular nurse shark hiding place. Scanning the bottom, Jim spots their target.
John, there's one over here.
Sean free dives 6 meters to survey the scene. He sees it. The notoriously tough predator is just under 1 meter long and wedged under the reef. This capture will be no easy task. After one last gulp of air, Sean approaches cautiously, armed with only a lasso. The diver strains to hold his breath and reaches from an awkward angle. The second he makes contact, the situation can turn dangerous fast. As predicted, the shark reacts violently. The thrashing predator snaps out at the rope, the divers, anything in reach. The 2 men grapple with the agitated predator, keeping just enough distance to avoid the vacuum suction of its mouth.
It's thrashing around, it's trying to get away from you, so you grab it in one spot, and the shark just turns around and your hand slips off and it's coming at you, so you're pushing it away with the other hand.
Gathering his courage, Jim makes a bold move. grabbing hold of the bucking beast by the fins. He's got it in hand, but getting it out of water is the diver's next challenge. Jim clings to the writhing shark, risking his safety every second he's got the beast in his arms. At last, Sean and Jim have the nurse shark on board.
You almost got me a couple times.
To avoid harming the animal, they know the tagging has to happen fast. Yet any carelessness could cost them a limb. The two divers quickly implant a tracking tag and prepare the beast for a safe release.
Okay, here we go.
With practiced speed, the men get the tagged nurse shark back in the water.
All right, off you go, and away it goes. Perfectly fine.
Two shark wrangles pulled off bare-handed. Today, the lab is 2 missions closer to protecting and preserving some of the ocean's most amazing alpha predators. Thousands of kilometers away, Spain's Ebro River. The Okie Noodling team is deep into their mission. Far from Oklahoma, on their hunt for a whopper record-setting Wels catfish.
In Oklahoma, this would have fish under it. It's wide open, it goes way back up underneath there, tapers off, it's got a cavity. Right in there, you can trap your fish. This would be a perfect spawning spot for, you know, our flat is.
We've had a bit of a rise and fall in river level. Storms brought some rather unexpected weather and some water into the system.
But 2 full days of a frustrating search
Go look again.
is straining the team's patience and confidence.
They ain't where we normally would catch them. They gotta be somewhere. You gotta try something different.
Change it up.
Change strategies?
Yep.
Reeds is about the last thing we haven't done.
After 48 hours with no luck, the men decide on their next terrain target. Dense reeds flanking the river's small islands. The Wels often use tall grass as a nest, a noodler's target. The team's plan is to approach the unsuspecting fish and grapple it straight out of the reeds.
Check out that dark one. That's a big one. 2 of them right over there in the shallows. See the dark shadows moving?
I see it moving up.
One going down too. We might have a chance in this.
Stealth is key for a surprise attack, but Mark McFarland is aware of the dangers of a blind strategy.
I started getting just a little, maybe scared. I guess more respect for the fish that I haven't seen yet. Having to crawl back in the reeds on all fours to get to their fish, you know. I'm thinking, wow, this is almost like a monster or something.
At any moment, the men could bump into Europe's biggest, most notorious catfish.
Danger. Yeah, you never know. It's a big river, there's some big fish in there. Very brave. You know, them brave men. True men, yeah.
But the massive Wels has evaded the team once again. Yet they press on, abandoning the reeds for the more familiar terrain of rocks and shoreline.
Looking rocks. Let's try it.
See if there's a hole.
Oh, ow, ow, ow. Just look around and see if you can find a hole.
Got a hole? Got a hole?
Got it.
And suddenly, something latches on to Mark's hand.
You got him good?
Yeah.
Need help?
It just depends on what he does when I get him out.
With no idea what he's got, he grapples the fish. Experience tells him to move fast and strong, but the fish is fighting back, growing heavier by the second.
Ow! I
got all tail, right here.
Every second the angler wrestles the beast, the fish has more chances to wriggle free.
Oh, here's a ow!
Or bite down harder.
There's tail. Head down here.
Mark tightens his grip.
You got him good? I got him now. I got bottom lip. We'll bring him out.
Marshals his strength.
It's all you.
And gives a strong pull. At last, together, they've got it.
Easy.
It's a small Wels catfish. Mark estimates it weighs just under 9 kilograms.
First noodle catfish abroad. Now if we just get a bigger one.
It's not the whopper he's hunting, but it's the team's first noodle battling a feared catfish opponent on foreign soil.
It's just experience, finding the first hole, finding the first fish. It is pretty cool.
Oh, now that's just a baby.
These little ones I'm used to. I want something bigger than what I'm used to in my own waters. That's what I came over here for. Huge fish, that's what I'm after.
Let's turn him loose and let him grow up.
Lee releases the small Wels. In addition to his quest for a monster specimen, Lee's committed to sustainable noodling, saving catfish for future generations.
Touch the fish in the water.
The team soon faces their last day in Spain. Over 8,000 kilometers from home, only time will tell whether they'll have the ultimate showdown of man versus fabled man-eater, a giant Wels catfish. On a remote island on the other side of the world, bare-handed fishing is more than a sport. It's a way of life. The deadly domain of an ancient clan, fighting for their survival. Lembata, Indonesia. This tiny South Pacific island is home to one of the oldest traditional fishing communities on Earth, the Lamalera.
We cannot grow food here or raise much livestock. Only the ocean provides what we need to survive. Our lives revolve around it.
For centuries, the Lamalera have depended on one creature more than any other for their survival: the sperm whale. Though today this diet staple may seem controversial, the clan subsists in harmony with all creatures of the ocean, never taking more from the seas than they need, using every part of every whale they catch.
Our ancestors were brought to this island on the backs of whales. We have much respect for this animal because it has kept us alive for so long.
Village carpenters work to build traditional boats called tena. The men who construct these vessels are following their ancestors' blueprints. They believe any deviation brings trouble.
We must follow the old ways. If we do not construct the bottom of the tena correctly, the whale will notice this and destroy it with his tail.
Each morning from May to October, the men of Lamalera set out to hunt. Incredibly, against massive ocean carnivores, the fishermen do battle equipped with only small metal harpoons, hand-stitched sails, and handmade boats. Their target? Meet the real-life Moby Dick. Larger than a city bus, sperms can stretch nearly 21 meters, weighing a staggering 44 tons. Whalers once hunted sperms for a white waxy substance found in their foreheads, called spermaceti.
Historically, sperm whales were one of the more difficult whales to catch because they would ram boats, they would smash their tails down onto boats, and in the old days of whaling, when men were out there in boats that were pulled by oars or by a sail, then that made them extremely vulnerable.
The sperm whale's high commercial value made it a tantalizing target. By the early 1900s, these deep-sea leviathans were nearly extinct.
In 1946, community attitudes towards whales and whaling have changed considerably.
Thankfully, since the international whaling ban in the 1980s, the sperm whale population has rebounded. Hunting whales has become illegal in nearly every corner of the globe. Controversial Japanese whaling nets around 650 whales a year in the name of research. But to many, this is a dubious claim. The Lamalera take far fewer, only around 20 whales a year. And every part of the animal is used or traded.
Lamalera is truly a subsistence hunt. It's a tradition that has gone on for a very long time, and it's a relic of an ancient tradition in human history.
And over the years, the Lamalera have engaged in some epic battles with the mighty sperm whale. July 1999. A crew of 13 struggles to launch. With no natural bay on this rocky island, it's backbreaking work. Out at sea, hours pass. The men wait for any sign of a whale as the lookouts on shore scan the ocean. A sperm whale has been spotted. The boats signal each other to converge on their prey. The fishermen prepare their weaponry, and an ancient battle begins. Balancing their weapons on the boat's bow, the harpoonists are poised to attack. The first strike is critical and extremely dangerous.
Once we strike the whale, anything can happen. People have been caught in the rope and pulled under. Others have been crushed by the whale.
The men balance, aim, and launch. The crew looks on while the harpoonists struggle to land the perfect strike. Using their weapons like javelins. Paddling in circles, trying to get new vantage points. The men must all work together to surround a 10-ton beast. The battle rages for an incredible 3 hours. At every moment, the whalers risk being pulled over, getting tangled too close to the beast, or growing too exhausted to stay afloat. Some men dare to enter the water with knives, confronting their adversary face to face. Finally, after an epic fight, they've done it. In an ancient hand-fishing showdown, the men of Lamalera have their massive catch, a sperm whale to feed their village. As the boats tow the whale home, the Lamalera remains silent to convey respect for this magnificent animal. Back on shore, they use or trade every part of their catch. Today, though the clan's way of life is threatened by encroaching civilization, The fishermen of Lamalera continue their centuries-old tradition. Hunting whales, caught bare-handed.
We honor the whales of our ancestors by using every part of the animal. We have lived this way for centuries and hope to continue this way of life.
On the shores of Spain's Ebro River, the Oki noodlers have reached the final day of their quest for the legendary Wels Catfish.
2 days and one little bitty fish. We've got to find something bigger.
The men are headed 3 hours downriver to a stretch of the Ebro where spawning whales have recently been sighted. The seasoned hand fishermen remain determined.
I've caught small fish here, but I've not caught the size I'm looking for. I'm still looking for one big one.
The noodlers continue to search the riverbank and rock formations.
Looks like it ought to have a hole under it. Yeah.
And Lee discovers a promising spot.
Big hole here. I got my legs down in, Mark's down in with me. Josh has got a back door over there. You guys, this is a big hole. I'm gonna go in feet first.
This time, there's a hit.
Oh man, did you feel that thump? That son of a buck's got my hand.
Lee feels a fighting fish latch on with cutting teeth.
Ow, ow.
Instinct tells him this one's big.
Mark, let me go down again. I'm gonna drag him up. When I bump you, help grab him.
The men need to prevent the fish from exiting the hole.
Josh? Yeah. You better get ready to grab this tail. Get over here, get over here.
He's certain he's got a whopper Wels biting for its life on the end of his arm.
He's right here between us, Mark.
Only sheer strength allows him to keep the fish pinned inside its hole. Yet he can only keep the river beast trapped for so long.
Ah! Damn!
Moving quickly, Mark tries to get a thin rope called a stringer attached to the fish's lip and gills.
Whatever you do, keep everything blocked. Do not let this fish get away. I cannot come over here and play with one and say I lost it.
Working together, grabbing hold, putting all their muscle into the pull. At last, they've got the catch right where the noodlers want it.
Get him! Ah! Damn! Damn! That was a big one. What do you mean, was? He didn't get away.
They finally have their prize in hand.
That's a good fish. That's what we're after.
It takes 3 men to keep a tight hold on a truly massive Wels catfish.
That's what we come to Spain for. Look at this sucker. That is awesome. Massive as that tail is. God, I can't imagine. Our fish, if it's like this, nobody in Oklahoma would be noodling. They'd be saying, forget you, you're crazy. Because them fish are aggressive.
At the weigh-in,
yeah, 94.
The stats are astounding. Just over 42 kilograms and nearly 1.8 meters long.
I think they bite just like our fish.
It's the biggest fish any of the men have ever noodled on any shore.
That's what we come here for. We can go back and show our face in America. And pictures.
The noodling dream team takes a moment to examine their truly colossal catfish.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Yeah, just awesome, really. You just beat it up. Total hats off to you.
Elated, the Oklahoma noodlers return the fish to the Ebro. An expedition success.
That fish could almost done anything. I said, I'm just disappointed I didn't get no scars. I got a bunch of fish slime, that's for sure.
Excited ain't the word. I don't know what the word is for catching something like that. Just shocked.
It could be a beginning of a new era for us. I mean, you know, have bags packed, we'll travel. Just say where. Noodlers abroad, noodlers at large.
All right, boys, that's what it's all about. Noodling abroad, world record.
For sport, survival, or to help save a species. For adventure anglers who dare to go face-to-face against the world's mightiest whoppers without rod and reel, it's the ultimate thrill of monster fish caught bare-handed. A flying menace.
Good Lord.
An alien swarm. A projectile fish threatening our ecosystem.
We have to stop it before they stop us.
It may look harmless, but it's anything but.
These fish are actually up in your face. This head, solid bone, that's what gets you hurt.
These dangerous foreign species are determined to survive in a hostile takeover. And major American waterways may face total annihilation.
There's no real barrier to stop the fish from here moving into Lake Michigan.
For sportsmen, fishermen, and scientists, it's a race against time to stop an invasive destroyer on a rampage. Man versus explosive river crashers. Hooked. Asian carp invasion. Unwelcome foreign intruders, originally introduced by human hands. Escaped invasive species can turn a native ecosystem into an environmental catastrophe.
Years ago, a fish called the Asian carp was brought to American waters to solve a problem. But the big, hungry, and very prolific fish soon became a major problem itself.
Today, the U.S. faces one of the most alarming aliens ever. It's already here, threatening to decimate one of the Earth's largest waterways, the Mississippi River Basin. And now, these ecosystem invaders are headed towards an even more dangerous territory, the Great Lakes.
Species is rapidly approaching Lake Michigan.
Ravenous, fast breeding. If these alien species colonize the biggest freshwater system in America, they could cause devastation.
Have invaded nearly every waterway. Now they threaten the Great Lakes and its $7 billion industry.
As research teams race against time, one of the 21st century's most frightening environmental questions may be contained in a few samples of water.
The trouble is we keep pushing the limits and we keep finding carp.
The intruder? A fish with a nasty habit. When threatened, it launches like a flying projectile. Can it be stopped? And where is it headed next?
They've took it over. They're not taking it over, they've took it over.
And that has some experts extremely concerned.
It's America versus Asian carp. September 15th, 1999, 225 kilometers from the Great Lakes, Chillicothe, Illinois. Commercial fisherman Orion Briney heads out on the Illinois River. For over 15 years, Orion's worked these waterways. Expecting buffalo fish and catfish, he pulls up his net. Usually brimming with fish, on this day, it's almost empty, but not quite. Orion spots two fish fighting hard against the net, with odd-looking eyes set low on their heads.
What is that? It's awful weird looking. Well, when we caught the first one, we pulled it up. We thought we knew what we had. We thought it was like a big lake trout, or because sometimes your water gets real high, you catch a weird fish or two of some kind. Eyes on the bottom of their head, a little bitty scales on them.
Orion takes one of the mystery fish to a biologist.
What do you think that is? Never seen nothing like it before in my life.
One look, and the scientist knows Orion's catch all too well.
It's carp. It's carp? Asian carp. Asian carp. Sure ugly, aren't they? No, nasty.
It's a big-head carp, an unwelcome menace more commonly known as Asian carp, and the first of what may be a thriving colony of ruthless aquatic terminators. Along with its sister species, the silver carp, Orion's bighead is considered one of the most dangerous invasive creatures in America. The bad news travels fast.
As soon as biologists learned that these species had escaped from aquaculture ponds and were showing up in the nets of fishermen, red flags went up for every biologist.
In Orion's river, the invading bighead carp is perfectly designed for a hostile takeover. Able to reach as long as 1.5 meters and weigh as much as 45 kilograms. In their native Asia, they're Darwinian superstars, easily adapting to most rivers, lakes, and ponds. And as they move into U.S. rivers and start aggressively feeding on plankton, they devour the food chain from the bottom up. But where in Asia, natural predators kept these carp in check, the United States has no river contenders up to the challenge. It's a formula for disaster.
The Asian carp have a potential of devastating local fish populations because they're eating this food at the most basic level. It's suggested that they can eat anywhere from 40 to 80% of their body weight in a day.
And it gets worse. In addition to a ravenous appetite, the Asian carp's breeding rates are in the stratosphere. While most fish spawn once a year, Asian carp can spawn up to 3 times a year, producing as many as 2 million eggs. Breeding and feeding faster than any other native fish in the river, the Asian carp obliterates the competition.
The bighead and silver carp are a very scary threat because of their ability to invade an area so quickly. They will kick other fish, our native fish, out in a short amount of time.
But how did they get here? The answer is chilling. Like many invasive species, these dangerous intruders were deliberately brought by human hands. 50 years ago, in the 1960s, Midwest commercial fish farmers and water treatment authorities were looking to solve a problem: algae overgrowth. Their solution? Import an Asian fish species known for devouring algae, the grass carp.
Last summer, 1/3 of Robert Harrell's 70-acre lake was filled with water weeds. Harrell stocked the lake with carp, and his weed problems were practically solved in 2 months.
You can tell they have really done quite well. I believe we put 350 in here, and in just a little time, it was all gone.
It worked so well, a decade later, more catfish farmers fighting fishery overgrowth imported 2 other Asian carp species with the same taste for algae, the bighead and the silver carp. But what seemed like an ideal solution was an ecosystem ticking time bomb. Summer 1993. Torrential thunderstorms pound the American Midwest. 50,000 homes are damaged or destroyed. 1,000 levees fail. The end result is devastating, but there's an even more disastrous consequence. The normally disconnected rivers, lakes, and streams of the Mississippi River Basin flood together, forming one giant bathtub. To a then relatively obscure fish, it's the perfect escape. Captive carp find a path to freedom, riding floodwaters into open waterways, spawning fast and furious, swimming further into rivers and tributaries throughout the Midwest.
Brought to America to suck up algae and then escaped and multiplied, earning the nickname river rabbits.
An unnatural disaster had begun. Now, for the man who first found this terrifying alien species in his own backyard, the fish is freshwater public enemy #1. Soon after his first sighting, Orion watches an ecosystem under siege. The bighead are so much larger and stronger than native fish, none of the local fishermen have nets strong enough to hold the invaders.
The first year or 2, I just don't want to fish for them. You could come out here and literally see 40 acres of them. There'd be so many you couldn't even run the motor through them. You start running your motor through them, and it'd just be red blood behind you. When we went out there, you know, he was tearing them nets up. It wasn't very long after most of your fishermen quit fishing.
And there's more to this menace. With no natural predators in the Illinois River, the bighead multiply at astronomical rates, taking over and dominating the food chain. While alarmed fish and wildlife agencies try to strategize comprehensive solutions,
They are big, ugly, and abundant.
a nearby processing plant decides to harvest and sell Asian carp as food. In a desperate attempt to save his own livelihood, Orion modifies his gear to stand up to the aggressive invader.
I had the first nets built, and I was the first one on them.
Orion once harvested buffalo fish and catfish. Post-Asian carp invasion, the fish have all but disappeared. Orion's only solution? Change his business model. Make the alien species his catch. He recruits his stepson Jeremy and 13-year-old grandson Levi. Yet even with a team, Asian carp catching is challenging.
You know, it's just completely different ballgame. You gotta hold more nets, you gotta make bigger nets.
July 9th, 2009, Chillicothe, Illinois. Orion and his two-boat crew head out to capture the invasive carp.
We got fish already.
He reads the water, looking for signs of a pack of bighead below. The goal, net as many of this marauding threat as fast as possible. Orion knows these fish spook easily. They fly into the air at the first sign of noise and commotion, a fight-or-flight stress response that can dangerously injure fishermen. Skittish Asian carp scatter fast. Moving carefully, the boats will have to hit the right spot at the right moment.
You gotta be real aggressive when you see them. I mean, you can't sit here and talk and tell, you know. You gotta get right with it, get around them and get them shut off, or they're gone. You say, well, I thought there was a bunch of fish there. Well, there was. But so they beat you.
Orion picks a spot in the middle of the river.
That's where they're at right here. Get ready.
The boats start dropping over 27,000 meters of net. Spreading out, they make their way towards shore, covering the river's entire width. But now, Orion's crew tries to gather the carp using one of the most primitive fishing techniques on Earth, noise. What the men are about to raise in their nets may be proof of a threat far greater than any fisherman's livelihood. An eco-disaster, a raging river invader breeding out of control. Chillicothe, Illinois, 225 kilometers from the Great Lakes. Fisherman Orion Briney and his team are on the hunt for an invasive Asian carp menace, the bighead. Now, with nets strategically placed across the width of the Illinois River, it's time to raise hell, literally. To herd the fish towards them, the crew stomps and bangs the boat's aluminum hulls. Beneath the waters, the distressed fish pick up the vibrations through organs that run along their sides, called neuromasts. Interpreting the vibrations as a predator on the hunt, fleeing bigheads swim straight for the nets.
They're very smart. Once they hear a noise, they're taking off. We run back and forth and try to bring them into a big school and herd them down, force them into the net.
Meter by meter, Orion's crew pulls up bursting nets. Now, to get the fish to market, it's a race against the sun's baking heat.
How we doing up here? How many we got left? A fish this size will hurt you. Fish this size will probably put you in the hospital if you was going up the river. It breaks something, you know, or even knock you out of the boat, and then there you are.
That's a dandy.
4 hours and 15 nets later, thousands of invasive bighead Asian carp pack the holds of Orion's boats.
That's less half the size of that big one.
It's all slimy. Here you go, Levi.
From ship to truck, it's an hour-and-a-half drive to one of the few processing plants with the capacity to handle enormous volumes of Asian carp. Here, the fish are unloaded and weighed.
20,944 big heads, 81 carp. Is this right?
Today's catch, over 9,000 kilograms. It's a good harvest for what's become an unexpected family business, doing battle with an alien species.
It's fun going out and just getting to hang out with your grandpa and your uncle. It's just a blast.
Fishing's my favorite thing to do. It's probably the only thing I'll ever do, hopefully, with any luck.
Well, anytime we catch a bunch of fish, it's exciting. You know, they get excited, I get excited.
Some of Orion's catch will be filleted and packed for distribution to overseas markets. There, the fish are consumed as food. But in the U.S., there's a problem. Asian carp flesh is filled with tiny bones. The U.S. market for these bony fish as human food is non-existent. Yet many fear, unless we start eating Asian carp by the truckload, we have no chance of stopping their onslaught. And while commercial fishermen struggle to stay in business, according to biologist Dwayne Chapman, exporting these fish as fast as they can be caught isn't enough. It's hardly making a dent in an invasive disaster threatening a continent.
Orion is just one fisherman, and 20,000 pounds of fish is nothing. I estimate that last year, about 2 million pounds of fish were captured, bighead and silver carp together, for market. And that is not a drop in the bucket.
Many scientists fear the invasive eco-destruction is getting worse by the day. And although in 2007, U.S. Fish and Wildlife made it illegal to import or breed silver carp, bighead and black carp have yet to be federally banned, even as populations continue to grow. July 12, 2009, Havana, Illinois, over 300 kilometers from the Great Lakes, the so-called Asian carp capital. Here, the ongoing carp invasion has created such dense populations, boaters are forced to be vigilant, always on the lookout for a rampaging species just as menacing as the bighead, the silver carp. With their notorious hair-trigger fear response, some compare a silver carp collision to being hit by a bowling ball at several kilometers an hour.
I'm a big guy, I'm about 6'6", but it doesn't, that doesn't make much difference to the carp. They will take you out when you're driving around.
Oh, we got two in the boat.
I've been hit pretty hard a couple times.
As one of the world's top invasive fish experts, Dwayne Chapman is leading the charge in the battle against this leaping aquatic threat.
I've been eating, breathing, sleeping these fish, trying to get under their skin, try to figure out everything I can about them in order to know my enemy.
Hi, Kevin. Come aboard.
Today, as part of a fact-finding mission tracking invading silver carp on the move, Dwayne and fellow biologist Kevin Irons board a specially rigged boat designed for a unique task, electrofishing.
This is our electrofishing boat. We use it for routine surveying of fish. You can go to a spot, you put roughly about 5,000 watts worth of electricity into the water. It'll temporarily stun the fish, where biologists can then dip them up.
Yeah, there's a big mouth.
Electrofishing is one way scientists take sample inventories of all the fish species competing for survival in a river. For every fish they net, they note its species, size, and weight, evaluating the overall health of both natives and invasives. As the team works, they face the silver carp's explosive defense strategy.
Protect yourself.
Fish leaping by the hundreds,
Good Lord.
reaching as high as 3 meters.
And it's just a fright response. Anything that scares them, and they tend to go airborne. And they can jump at speeds of probably at least 20 knots or so.
Although Asian carp have infiltrated rivers from Louisiana to Minnesota, today, Dwayne focuses his investigation here on the Illinois. So close to the Great Lakes, this is a critical front line against an eco-catastrophe. Dwayne wants to know how the invaders are thriving and migrating. His ultimate goal? Zero population.
This is the paddlefish. It's one of the filter feeding fishes that we're trying to protect by controlling the bighead and silver carp. They're really odd-looking prehistoric fish, been around for a long time. It'd be a real shame to have these guys get hurt by this and by the invading bighead and silver carp. Okay, let's get them back in the water.
Keeping the juice on, the shocker arms release steady electric jolts. The jolts successfully stun the bulk of the Asian carp below. Yet the fastest fish react by taking to the air. Whoa! Soon, the team hits the mother lode.
When you get them coming in, it's all you can do to dodge and get your hands up. You want to protect yourself.
But the biologists have no idea lurking below is concrete evidence of a river apocalypse already in progress. The Illinois River, 317 kilometers from the Great Lakes. Electrofishing biologists Dwayne Chapman and Kevin Irons reach a dense patch of flying invasive silver carp and release paralyzing electric currents.
I got it, Megan.
The day's sampling effort only brings up a fraction of what swims dangerously beneath. In the past, when water levels dipped to extreme lows, electroshocking triggered an Asian carp hurricane.
It's like being inside a popcorn popper. You know, there's just fish everywhere. Only the difference is that the fish can, you know, instead of being little kernels of popcorn, you've got fish that range from 6 inches up to 25 pounds that are flying through the air.
But today, they're about to discover something far more frightening.
556.
Measuring the weight and length of the stunned fish, the biologists note something unusual. Instead of a normal rounded body shape, these silver carp are long and narrow.
And this particular fish, as you can see, it's kind of flat across the top. It kind of reaches the top, a point right there behind the head, and it's kind of flat from there on back. This fish should be rounded.
It's a bad sign. To the scientists' trained eyes, the silver carp are starving. The implications are grave. When it comes to feeding, silver carp are top-notch competitors. They muscle out almost all other species.
Bighead and silver carp are the most highly advanced filter feeding fishes in fresh water in the world. And so it's pretty hard for our native fishes to compete with that.
If top competitor silver carp are starving, native fish species don't stand a chance. It's how an invasive like the Asian carp wreaks havoc, feeding until there's nothing left to feed on, starving out all other species, eventually starving themselves. The only solution is to move on to the next waterway and food supply. Here, it's the beginning of the end of the once vital Illinois River and the beginning of the end of America's freshwater fisheries. After dedicating much of his career to the Asian carp scourge, Dwayne believes the electrofishing evidence reveals a crisis now reaching a critical mass, a crisis that might have been prevented.
When they hit the Illinois River and Missouri River, the populations just skyrocketed. All of a sudden, we had tons of fish.
In hindsight, we could have and should have prevented their arrival in North America.
The statistics are terrifying. With silver and bighead carp, the most dangerous invasive offenders, Asian carp species currently make up an astonishing 80% of the total Upper Mississippi River Basin's biomass, roughly 2,500 fish for every kilometer of river. Populations so enormous, some speculate a total takeover may be impossible to stop.
Carp are right there knocking at the door. So we need to do something soon.
September 10th, 2009. At the Aquatic Center for Conservation at the University of Notre Dame, Professor David Lodge heads an invasive species task force. As an Asian carp Armageddon looms, the task force is fighting back with a cutting-edge tool.
For invasive species in lakes and rivers, one of the big challenges is often just figuring out where the darn organisms are. And it's like searching for a needle in a haystack.
Dr. Lodge and his team have developed a solution for finding the needle in the haystack, locating Asian carp without having to catch a single fish. It's called environmental DNA testing. Just as CSI teams collect DNA samples from criminal evidence, Dr. Lodge's team tests water samples for traces of Asian carp DNA. If they get a positive hit, Asian carp have passed through the test sample's water source. Using this method, the team can test large bodies of water relatively quickly. It's an efficient diagnostic tool that's never been used to fight an invasive aquatic species until now.
The hard work is done back in the laboratory, but that too is relatively quick compared to the effort required to electroshock or net fish in a lake or a river. Yep, so I think that still sounds like what we want to do is start upstream, get the most urgent information first.
Armed with breakthrough genetic detection, Professor Lodge's team heads to what may be the single most dangerous Asian carp frontline, the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal. In 1900, to prevent sewage from entering Lake Michigan, contaminating the city's drinking water, the city of Chicago came up with an idea, reversing the direction of the Chicago River. The result? An ingenious feat of engineering called the Sanitary and Ship Canal. Today, the canal is an important route for cargo ships. But when humans connected the Mississippi River basin to Lake Michigan, no one predicted that they were building a disastrous invasive species superhighway.
The Great Lakes have on the order of 186 species that are non-native, many of which are damaging.
And there are dreaded cautionary tales. One exotic species already doing major environmental and economic damage is the zebra mussel. After hitching rides from Europe in the ballasts of cargo ships, these mollusks have quickly multiplied and clogged up industrial pipes. They must be routinely cleaned, exterminated, and monitored.
Zebra mussels caused the shutdown of the Monroe Power Plant in Michigan, which cost millions of dollars.
To many, the ongoing zebra mussel plight is a warning. Similar stories, like the Chinese snakehead fish found in Maryland in 2002, all sound an urgent alarm. In a global economy of international trade and human intervention, far worse invasive scourges are to come.
These things are being transported by the thousands every day on the planet in planes and ships. This is one of the most damaging environmental changes that's been going on since humans started moving species.
Here, 30 miles from the entrance to the Great Lakes, the team picks a strategic spot. It's downstream from the last line of man-made defense, an electric underwater fence. In 2002, authorities installed rows of steel cables across a section of the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal. Today, volts of DC current flow from the cables into the water, delivering harmless but critical fish-repelling shocks. When it comes to stopping the northward migration of the invasive Asian carp, this single electric fence may stand between control and catastrophe. But many experts fear the barrier's far from foolproof. Is it truly enough to stop an invader from river domination?
The barrier needs to be turned off every 6 months for a short period of time to rehabilitate it. If you turn off the thing and they're sitting there at the door, they're going to swim through.
Back in the lab, the team submits their samples for DNA tests. What the water reveals is shocking.
The Asian carps were several miles upstream from where people had thought they were. It was exciting to discover that we learned something important. On the other hand, it was depressing because the problem is so much more acute than we thought previously.
It's confirmed. Carp are less than 11 kilometers from the electric fence barrier.
All that separates the silver carp from the Great Lakes now is one lock and the electric barrier that the Army Corps of Engineers has installed.
What began as a field test now becomes an urgent investigation. The next critical test location is the Chicago River. Lindsay Chatterton with the Great Lakes Project heads up the investigation.
So we are in downtown Chicago. This is the last lock through which boats pass to get into Lake Michigan itself.
Discovering Asian carp DNA here would mean disaster. If there's a positive hit, it's proof the fish have gone further and slipped past the electric barrier.
I think these fish are much further up the system than anyone previously thought, and really we don't know how far up they are.
Targeting backwater pockets where DNA collects, the team fills 2-liter bottles, noting location, depth, and temperature.
There's no real barrier to stop the fish from here moving into Lake Michigan, so we clearly don't want to find them here.
Back at the lab, the clock is ticking on a potential environmental time bomb. The team puts the samples on ice to slow any DNA degradation and begins testing for Asian carp DNA.
I hope and pray that they won't see anything upstream from the barrier.
But while Dr. Lodge's lab team waits for results,
Focus your chi, Tim. Do what? Focus your chi. I think that's some kind of Zen thing, isn't it?
over 160 kilometers away, some anglers are taking a more direct approach.
Let's hit it, brother.
Fighting an invasive killer head on.
All right, guys, here we go.
August 22nd, 2009, 251 kilometers from the Great Lakes, Peoria, Illinois. Zach Naden is a lifelong fisherman and pioneer of an unconventional catch technique, aerial bow fishing.
It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I shot a fish out of the air. I mean, it's so unorthodox. Ah! These fish are actually up in your face, and you know, it's like a combative sport.
Take that. I think I got Big Louie hooked.
Both Zach and fellow bow fisher Tim Wels are avid outdoorsmen. Though to some their technique is highly controversial. When projectile silver carp swarmed their river, conventional rod and reels were useless. These invasive fish are filter feeders who do not take hooked bait. So the anglers decided to up the ante.
We came up with these specifically for shooting these fish. Nobody really had any equipment for shooting them out of the air. As you can see, it's small, it's compact, it's about 3.5 pounds, carbon arrow. And this reel here, it's got all the line here in the bottle.
Come on, boys, say cheese.
Zach and Tim scour the river for pockets of aerial intruders.
I smell blood in the water, brother.
Let's get it, man, let's get it.
Fish on! Ooh, cheer left, cheer left, cheer left. Oh!
But against carp hordes hurtling out of the water, even seasoned fishermen risk wrecking their equipment.
Oh,
that didn't take
look
long.
at her, she's still spinning.
Oh, man.
Doggone it.
Or suffering a knockout blow.
The coolest part about this kind of bow fishing is coming home alive and with all your teeth.
Oh my God! Whoa!
Suddenly, the archers reach a bursting pack of silver carp.
Oh, Keep it going, Chase, in a circle. Oh. Circle the thing, Chase. Oh my God! Oh, oh man! Oh, holy moly! This is Godzilla! Holy! Oh.
Fish on, fish on, fish on!
Peoria, Illinois, 251 kilometers from the Great Lakes. Bow fishermen Zach Naden and Tim Wels have arrows at the ready, hunting invasive carp across the Illinois River.
Fish on, fish on!
Now they're facing a high-energy upheaval known as popcorning.
Oh my gosh! Oh man! The popcorn is just, it's a feeling of total loss of control.
Oh my God!
You have no idea what's coming next, whether you're gonna make it out, where you're gonna get hit. It's, you just gotta kind of grit your teeth and bear it. That's what we're looking for there, folks. That's, whoa! Slow us down, Chase, slow us down.
Zach fires his bow.
Fish on, fish
A direct hit.
on. Boom shakalaka!
Reeling in the line, Zach heaves his catch on board. It's a monster.
Man, now that's a fish.
That's a giant there. Wow. That's one of the bigger ones we've taken this year.
Dude, that's about the biggest as they get, man. That's you're
Wow.
right at the record right there.
We've got a giant Asian silver carp.
Hold him out here in the sun. He's over 25.
He's over 25 pounds easy. Easy. He's probably about 34, 35 inches long. Just solid muscle. His head, solid bone. Solid bone. That's what gets you hurt when they jump in. That's what you feel when these fish hit you.
It's just one fish, but it's also just the beginning.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Zach and Tim routinely land 100 carp in a single afternoon.
Fish on! Oh!
Though some may find their methods brutal, and it's no solution to a massive problem. To the sportsman, it's a direct way to kill at least a few specimens of an environmental menace, threatening an entire ecosystem, one fish at a time.
I got him, boy. Come on in here.
9 out of every 10 fish right now is an Asian carp. So that's the problem we're facing right now.
Oh my God!
September 11th, 2009, back at South Bend, Indiana's University of Notre Dame. Scientists know all too well it will take far more extreme measures to end the Asian carp blight. Using their unique forensics DNA testing, Dr. David Lodge and his invasive species task force await the results of the latest water sample. It's devastating news. Some of the samples test positive for Asian carp DNA. Asian carp have breached the electronic barrier.
The trouble with the work we've been doing is we keep pushing the limits and we keep finding carp.
But identifying traces of DNA just past the barrier doesn't yet prove a critical mass of fish have infiltrated Lake Michigan. Further evidence is needed. Facing this nightmare scenario, Dr. Lodge's team heads out to find answers to this alarming and now pressing question. Are they arriving at an ecological crime scene too late? Are the fish already colonizing Lake Michigan? University of Notre Dame researcher Chris Jurdy leads the sampling effort on Lake Michigan.
A carp positive out here would cause a lot of concern because this is the whole point, is to prevent them from getting into Lake Michigan.
I think it would be a big surprise and a terrible thing if they were able to get any DNA in Lake Michigan.
If the team gets a positive hit in Lake Michigan, it reveals a breach of the most disturbing threshold yet, a gateway to the entire Great Lakes, the largest freshwater ecosystem on Earth. Yet as an eco-catastrophe hangs in the balance, anglers from all over the country flock to the Illinois River to take up a fight they take personally. Here, on the banks of a river under siege, the battle lines are drawn, and the war rages in a competition called the Redneck Tournament.
It's just unbelievable what these fish have done. You could go out boat riding. We took the kids out, went tubing down the river. They've taken all that away from us.
If they hit the Great Lakes and start destroying that the same way that they have destroyed life in the Illinois River, we don't have a chance. We have to stop it before they stop us.
The goal of the tournament is to catch as many airborne carp as possible. Determined, these anglers risk life, limb, and teeth. Rival teams adopt playful names, but their cause is serious. Here, bow fishermen Zach and Tim compete as the maggot eaters. And though the impact on the Asian carp scourge may be insignificant, for them and others, it's a way to raise awareness and take personal action.
Well, we got to do our part for conservation, you know. Everything else is dying because of these fish, so we like to try to get as many out of the river as we can.
Are we ready? Don't hang legs over the side.
Now, lined up on shore, the teams wait for the start.
There we go!
As the countdown begins for one of the world's most original, if controversial, fishing contests, people arm themselves with baseball bats and nerve. Against a fish that seems to rain upwards into the sky, a vision fit for a biblical plague.
They just fly at you and you really don't know when they're gonna hit you in the face or in the shoulder or come in your boat and bleed everywhere.
$106. 106. Dude, that's double.
This year, the bow-wielding maggot eaters are determined not to go down without a fight.
We got second last year. We're trying to improve.
106 fish.
You gotta be kidding me.
The maggot eaters tie with Team Showtime.
106.
Are you serious?
This year's bragging rights will have to be shared.
Hey, wait, how do you check the boat? There might be one more under the battery.
In the spirit of victory, it's easy to forget the environmental stakes. In total, competitors typically net over 1,500 carp in a matter of hours. Proof these alien fish are multiplying, destroying the river. But using the competition's haul, two men are determined to make a difference. By day, Dr. John Holden and Dr. Tim Leeds work as reproductive specialists. By night, they've invented a massive food processor capable of transforming carp into a crop.
This becomes this. This we sell.
At 1,200 pounds of fish will turn into about 400 pounds of fish meal.
The fish are ground up and flash dried, generating almost zero waste. The Heartland processor then converts the tournament haul into two byproducts, oil and powder. The oil is low mercury and rich in omega-3 fatty acids, perfect for nutritional supplements. The powder is a high-protein fish meal, perfect for making commercial fish farm feed pellets.
People consider it a junk fish, so no one wants to fish it, no one wants to eat it. Well, with our machine, we just grind up the bones. That's a source of calcium.
The end product is 14% oil, 5% water, and the remainder is protein.
The processor can handle roughly 2 metric tons of fish an hour, and it's mobile. The doctors hope someday to put it right below the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal's electric barrier. From there, they envision moving downriver, harvesting tons of Asian carp as they go.
Using that model, we can get 800 million pounds of carp out over 5 years.
But is the Heartland processor enough to keep a spreading scourge from destroying an American ecosystem? The answer may depend on whether it's too late to stop the Asian carp and where the invasive fish are headed next. On the eve of a disaster, as the Asian carp threatens to invade the U.S. Great Lakes, ironically, in the fish's native China, near Shanghai, overfishing in dams are pushing bighead and silver carp to extinction. To compensate, billions of Asian carp are now farm-raised.
These species constitute about 80% of all farmed freshwater fish production in China. These fish are the staple of the population of China.
In Chinese markets, Asian carp are a valued delicacy. Kept alive as long as possible,
When the heart stops beating, it brings a lower price. It's because it's so important in China to keep fish fresh.
Fresh carp is made into a traditional fish head soup. But stateside, despite urgent headlines of the Asian carp menace, the problem of American tastes persists. Few people here are willing to eat the bony fish. Yet the cost of exporting live carp to China is prohibitively expensive, and efforts to bring the carp into contained U.S. fish farms have only ended in disaster. So disastrous, biologist Dwayne Chapman argues Asian carp escaped into the American wild almost as soon as they arrived, long before the infamous Midwestern flood breaches of the 1990s.
We had well-established populations of bighead silver carp and grass carp in the wild long before those floods. There were very likely many, many escapes because people weren't being very careful. It was a general feeling that these fish were not like our fish. The rivers that they were established in China were not like our rivers, and that we had all these big predators that would eat them up were they to escape, and all of that turned out to be hogwash, frankly.
It's another chilling cautionary tale against human intervention in nature. Today, Dwayne and others continue to fight on the ever-expanding front lines. But some predict, unless and until U.S. demand for Asian carp increases, keeping up with their breakneck spawning will be impossible. The carp population will continue to grow exponentially, invading new turf each day. Ultimately, we may be forced into a far more macabre solution. Some authorities are convinced no strategy is complete without a deadly plan of attack.
They're devastating the ecology.
Poison.
Poisons like rotenone have been used very effectively in many parts of the world to eradicate populations of unwanted fishes. But you must have a high willingness to accept losses of many other species. We do know how to kill Asian carps. We don't know how to kill them without killing lots of other things.
To date, poison has been used in limited quantities near the electric fence barrier. But as the clock on these spreading carp is ticking, far more aggressive and deadly measures may be all we have left. And now, one of the 21st century's most frightening environmental questions is contained in a few samples of water. Have the tenacious alien fish made it into the $7 billion fishery and ecosystem of Lake Michigan on their way to the Great Lakes?
We have never hoped for negative results more in our life, because it would say that we haven't detected anything this high up.
The results are in. Some samples taken from Lake Michigan test positive for Asian carp DNA. Asian carp have breached the electronic barrier and reached Lake Michigan. As alarms sound across the country, it's just the beginning. If Asian carp spawn reaching a critical mass in the Great Lakes, the effects will be catastrophic. If history is any indicator, it would be an ecosystem nightmare. Asian carp devour all plankton, leaving native fish like bass and walleye to starve. In addition, they digest only half the plant matter they eat, excreting waste that can cause a polluting scourge called algae blooms, clogging the water, killing fish, and destroying human drinking water. A $7 billion fishery could swiftly face decimation. And in time, the fish could move on to their next freshwater target.
You got to care about what's happening to your grandkids' resources as well. And we sure don't want to see anything like that. The Asian carp population explosion in the Great Lakes. It would be a disaster.
It's a vision of invasive species hell. Those trying to stop it share an urgent goal: fight Asian carp by any means necessary. an invasive assault, already threatening to bring the Mississippi River Basin to the brink of eco-destruction. Now, the Great Lakes face the same deadly fate. But scientists and fishermen refuse to back down, doing whatever it takes to end the Asian carp invasion.